If Doge is able to continue the trajectory of what they're doing, interest rates, long-term interest rates, should drop. Here's why. So just as a little bit of a background, forget about the scientific and reality way about how the Treasury works. You're buying bonds and then the yield. Let's talk on a simplistic level. You have money. You decide what you want to do with the money. Once you make a decision, you're not keeping the bank and you want to invest it, there's typically two investments. Do you want to lend it to the U.S. government or lend it to businesses and companies? Or do you want to invest in stocks? So at the highest level, when stocks are doing amazing, people would rather put their money in stocks. And therefore, less people want to lend money to the government. So therefore, the government has to entice more people to lend the money, so they raise the amount of interest they're going to pay. Supply and demand. It really works reverse, but keep it simple the way to understand it that way. On the other end, stock market's going down. So people say, well, I don't be in the stock market now. They run to lend the money to the government. And because of that, so many people want to lend the money to the government could go ahead and pay less of interest rates. This doesn't swing big from 1% at a time. It could be 25 basis points, 30 basis points, 50 basis points. That's one part. But the bigger part of this is the overall confidence you have in the U.S. government. While you think the U.S. government is strong, it's the safest place to lend money, you're willing on the part of your money that you allocate towards loans and lending, debt, as opposed to equity, the stock market, you're going to say, hey, I'd rather lend my money to the U.S. government. While you think the U.S. government is not doing well, you're not going to want to lend to them. Just that little difference could be worth a lot. Number two, if they are borrowing in the trillions, so let's say right now they have, let's use it, it's not the right number, but just for round purposes, they have $10 trillion out. That $10 trillion that they have out, if now next year they have to renew it at 11 trillion, they're going to have to find another $1 trillion worth of people that want to lend them money. Now, here's Doge comes in. If Doge starts cutting expenses and they keep going and they're actually able to find $1 trillion plus in savings, that means the U.S. we could balance the budget for the first time, which will mean that the government won't be borrowing any new money. So when the 10 trillion matures, they'll just have to replace the 10 trillion with another 10 trillion, which makes it easier to go back to the same people and say, hey, you lent us till now, do you want to continue? Plus, some new people would want to come in, create the competition. Now let's go back to how the wind is blowing. If that's really happening, people start believing in the U.S. government. So some people who are on the sidelines wouldn't even look to lend money to the government will say, hey, I feel a lot safer lending money to the government. Now, this money that the government's saving is not just on the fraud and all these, everyone's having a good time on these last few weeks of what Doge is uncovering. But when there's a mindset of everyone's watching you, even within each department of the government that is a good department and needed, and everyone agrees is needed, there's definitely some fat there. Regular businesses, look at businesses and companies you work at. You think they're wasting money sometimes. Imagine how much money they're wasting when everyone could say, what do you want from me? No one's watching my back and no one has equity stake in the government. So how much money and fat was in the system? Now let's take a case. So it's its own right. We could actually have a surplus. If we have a surplus, that means the Treasury should really go down. But there's another piece to the puzzle. The other piece to the puzzle also is you're talking about the other piece to the puzzle of with AI. AI and technology is causing, in its own right, the government should need less people. If the government needs even less people, that means they're going to fire even more people. So on the other side, inflation, you're going to have unemployment might go up. If unemployment starts to move up, then in order to spur the economy, they're going to have to look to lower rates. This part starts getting very interesting, along with if energy comes out and the cost of energy drops, the cost of living drops. So the GDP, this is already like, finance 2.0, 3.0 to the next level. These are other moving parts. If it really comes out that unemployment goes up, that means the government is going to have to look to lower rates to spur the economy. They'll have to spur it even more because of all the efficiencies, how to get things rolling. So let's keep it at the simplest level. The government controls interest rates, it's the short-term interest rates. Those are the credit card rates. Those are the floating rates you have. Long-term rates are controlled similar to the stock market, supply and demand, buying and selling. How many people are looking to lend money to the government? How many people are not looking to lend money to the government? So the starting point is, if this efficiencies continue to go, and the wave is, this is where the government is no longer going to be this machine that's just wasting money and having a surplus every year. They're going to have to, every time they look to refinance, they're going to have more people looking to lend them money. There's going to be less money they have to borrow, and that should go down. At the same time, the efficiencies should cause even on the short-term rates to drop, which should be really exciting about how things are going to go. People ask me, I have a mortgage. Should I refinance my mortgage now? Should I take out a new mortgage? My advice and opinion, again, there's not legal advice. I'm not telling you what to do. I tell you what I would be doing myself. If I was taking out a new mortgage today on a commercial building, I would not pay a premium to get locked in for long term. I would go more for a shorter term and or a floater, because I think rates were going to stay where they are / move down. However, would I wait to refinance if a deal made sense today? That I wouldn't do either. If you're in real estate, your business is not stocks. Your business is real estate. The deal makes sense now, take the mortgage you need for now. But as far as optimistically thinking about a lot of other things going on there, do I think rates will come down? Yes. Does it have other ramifications potentially of waiting or not waiting? Potentially. I don't want to comment on it. I just want to give you more of the pointers that you should now start to think about when you want to make a decision yourself, where you think the world and the economy is going, and rates are going up, rates are going down, how Doge could play a role, how it can play a role, and the efficiencies of the government. Hope this is beneficial. Thank you very much. Have an amazing day.